Many of you may be wondering how our recent cold snap back a couple of weeks ago has affected many of the trees and shrubs in your landscape. I visited with Dean McCraw, our fruit nut specialist, earlier, and he said that we had about a 25 to 30% loss of our peach crop, which really is quite minor and actually acts as a natural thinning for our peaches because we should have a very heavy crop this season. He also mentioned that we could actually take up to another 60% loss in our peaches and still have a good crop this year. With closer inspection to the trees, we can see that there has been some blossoms that are dead, that are brown, and were affected by the freeze. And as you go further back on the twigs, there's probably less damage to the buds. Other fruit crops that you might be concerned about are apples and cherries and pecans, and those trees should be okay. They should not have been affected by the freeze. Plums were probably in full bloom, and so they probably have been lost. Other plants in the landscape that you might be concerned about are the ornamental trees and shrubs. Certain trees like the saucer magnolia and star magnolias may have been starting to bloom in some portions of the state, and we probably have lost a lot of the blossoms on those plants. And we may still see a little bit of color on some of those still, but the freeze probably did affect those quite a bit. Other trees and shrubs that may have just begun to leaf out may have been nipped by the freeze, but we do not have a significant loss in the foliage of the plants, and they should leaf out just fine this year. We could still take a good heavy loss on the foliage of many plants, landscape plants, and they will usually send out a new set of leaves later on, even if they do get killed off with an early freeze. Other plants that you might be concerned about are some of the flowering bulbs, daffodils and tulips. Some of those have been nipped a little bit, but they should be okay and continue to bloom nicely for you this spring. Other trees and shrubs in the landscape that you might have some concern about are those that have heavy seed production. This year we probably will have a reduction in seeds produced by trees and shrubs such as maples. That might be a good thing for some people because they don't like to clean up after the mess that the seeds produce. But we still have also a few weeks to go, 3 or 4 weeks left of possible freeze damage, so we're not out of the woods yet.
We hope you've enjoyed this classic from the Oklahoma Gardening Vault. Remember, even though these tips and techniques are timeless, there's always something new to learn in the world of gardening. By subscribing to both Oklahoma Gardening and OK Gardening Classics, you'll have access to a wealth of gardening knowledge, both classic and contemporary.